I get a lot of questions about recipe substitutions, and I have made a list here of different ingredients and the kind of questions I get, and I'm going to do my best to answer those for you. So the first thing I want to cover is the liquids. So some recipes call for milk, some call for water, some call for powdered milk, and different kinds of liquids in recipes. And people will ask me, can I substitute the milk? Can I leave out the milk? So the important thing to understand about any bread recipe, when your recipe calls for liquids, and liquids in a recipe can be water and milk, and also enrichments like eggs or fruit sauces, pureed fruits, and even fruit itself, different things, potato flake starter. I use that a lot as a enrichment in my breads. So all of these are considered liquids. And the average 3-cup bread machine recipe calls for about 1 1/3 cups of liquid. So let's say you found a recipe that you really like, but it calls for milk or eggs, and you are avoiding milk and eggs, but you still like the recipe. So you could substitute water for both of those. I try to explain to people when I'm using a recipe how the enrichment measures up with the liquids, but your recipe may say use 2/3 of a cup of milk and 1 egg or something like that. I know those ratios may not be exactly right, but what you need to understand is how much liquid is an egg, and the average egg is about 1/3 of a cup. You could add that to the milk measurement and just substitute that with water if you don't want to use milk or eggs. Any recipe that calls for milk, I would say 99.9% of the time, you can equally swap out that milk for water without any problems in your recipe. One important thing to remember is when you are making substitutions in a recipe, you have changed the recipe. It is not the same recipe. So the results may vary. The texture, the flavor, different, the softness of the bread, and different things may be affected by your substitution. That does not mean that the recipe won't turn out well. It just means you need to understand that you did alter that recipe. So don't go back to the person who gave you the recipe and say, well, it didn't work for me, mine wasn't like yours, because you made a substitution, therefore you actually made a different recipe. But substitutions are okay because sometimes we have to make them. Sometimes we may not have the ingredient that is called for, and sometimes we may not use that ingredient. For example, maybe you're dairy-free or you're allergic to eggs or something like that. So substitutions are okay. Just keep an open mind about it and understand that you did change the recipe. For liquid substitutions, definitely you can substitute water for almost any liquid in a recipe that is not doing something special. Of course, if you're making milk bread and you take out the milk, then that's not going to be the same. And we get a lot of questions about the oil. I use different kinds of oil. I usually buy what's on sale, or what I can find that I think is the greatest bargain. It may be vegetable oil, sometimes it's even corn oil, it may be olive oil, different kinds of oil. They all measure the same, they all have the same amount of fat, and can be substituted equally, including butter. So if you want to substitute butter for the oil in a recipe, or olive oil for some other oil that's in a recipe, feel free to do so. Even Crisco, if you're using Crisco or lard, those substitute out for equal amounts just the same. You can substitute any oil for a recipe, and most of the time, unless that oil has a very strong flavor, it is not going to affect the recipe, what kind of oil that you are using. The other ingredient that is often substituted or asked can they omit is sugar. So most bread recipes call for some form of sugar or honey, and those can be substituted in equal substitutions just the same. Sugar or honey or molasses or other kinds of sugar. There are many different kinds of sugar. Now when it comes to artificial sweeteners, that is not the same. And you would only want to put an artificial sweetener in your bread if you are trying to get it to taste sweet. And you have to be very careful with artificial sweeteners because you will get a bitter taste instead of a sweet taste. But I would just leave the sugar out if you can't have the sugar or the honey. Sugar is not a ingredient that is absolutely required in bread. We put it in our bread. We like the way it activates our yeast, but the yeast actually feeds mostly from the starches in the bread, not from the sugar in the recipe. It may take it a little bit longer to rise if you leave the sugar out. So keep that in mind, but it can be left out. So let's say a recipe is calling for powdered milk and then it uses water for its liquid. Can you leave out the powdered milk? Because I know that is something that some people don't have access to. And yes, you can. You can completely leave it out. It will not keep your bread from turning out. It may affect the texture ever so slightly, but it won't keep the bread from turning out right. So if you don't have powdered milk and you want to leave it out, you can just leave it out, or you can swap the water for liquid milk and have the same result as you would with the powdered milk. And then, of course, we sometimes get questions about salt. Now, I've had 1 or 2 people comment that their bread turned out salty. I use a pink Himalayan salt. That's all we have in our house. We don't use the processed, bleached out white table salt that a lot of people use. And I do know that that salt is finer. It is ground to a finer texture. So if I'm using a teaspoon and a half of pink Himalayan salt and you use a teaspoon and a half of white finely ground table salt, your bread is going to be saltier than mine because the grains in my salt were bigger, so they took up more space. So if you're using white table salt, you might want to cut back to a teaspoon. If a recipe called for a teaspoon and a half of a natural salt and you're using table salt, you might want to cut it back about a third if your bread is coming out salty. Can I omit the salt altogether? You can if you want a very bland tasting bread. It does not need salt to rise or to bake. It will look like bread, but it may not exactly taste like bread you're used to if you leave the salt out altogether. And of course, there is the age-old argument of all-purpose flour versus bread flour. I use bread flour in all my bread recipes. There are those out there who say they have perfect success with all-purpose flour, and I'm not arguing with them at all. They may. But the reason we use bread flour is because it has a higher gluten content. And gluten is what gives our bread that stretch and that strength, which causes it to hold itself up when it rises. And if you're using all-purpose flour, depending on the brand and where you live, that all-purpose flour may not have enough gluten to work the same as bread flour would in the recipe. So by all means, give it a try if you want to, and you may have great success as well. So they can be swapped out. Now, it's been my experience, if I'm using all-purpose flour instead of bread flour, that I don't need quite as much liquid or I need more flour. So you're going to want to watch that dough ball if you're using a different kind of flour and make sure it's taking shape properly and that you don't need to add flour or add liquid. I also get questions about using whole wheat flour in recipes that are not calling for whole wheat. On this one, you need to be a little bit careful. And I would say if you're new to making bread in the bread machine, not to do it. Learn how to make a simple basic white loaf of bread and make it well before you start playing around with different kinds of flour. Whole wheat flour takes longer to absorb liquids and for those gluten strands to form. So if you substitute whole wheat for a recipe that is using white flour, then you are definitely going to want to give that dough ball a long rest, 30 minutes at least to rest, and then start the mixing from the beginning. This will give that whole wheat a little bit more time to catch up. Just understand that whole wheat flour does not act the exact same way that white flour does, but it can be substituted. I also get questions sometimes about freshly milled flour and making those substitutions in recipes. And I do not have a grain mill, so I do not have fresh milled flour. But from the studies I have done, it does react a little bit differently. And you can swap it out. What I'm going to say is you can swap fresh milled flour for flour in any recipe. But you are going to have to watch that dough ball, and I would definitely give it a rest period, give time for some of that gluten to form, and watch your dough ball and make sure that it is forming correctly. It may take a little bit longer for your fresh milled flour to absorb the liquids and to form the gluten strands. So that is something you're just going to have to practice with. So if you do it, don't just throw it in and walk away. Definitely watch the process and make sure you don't need to make any adjustments when it comes to flour or liquid. Only other question that I want to cover here is removing the paddle. So a lot of people remove the paddle from the bread machine so they don't get that big hole in the bottom of their bread. And I usually remove the paddle from my bread machine as well. But it makes me a little nervous when I see people making comments and I know they're doing it at the wrong stage. So most bread machines have these little menus that have some kind of an indicator, an arrow of some sort, telling you what stage it is on. Like it has the preheat, the stir, the rest, the second stir, the ferment. And most bread machines that I have used have 3 ferments on the menu, but only use 2 of them, unless you're using, I guess, a sourdough or one of the specialty menu options. So what you need to know is you remove the paddle. After the first ferment, there is a knockdown. That paddle in the bread machine will turn about 4 times. You know, it'll just make 4 turns. It's knocking the majority of the air out of the bread dough. And then it will go to its final rise. That is when you want to remove the paddle, is after the first ferment and before the final ferment, which usually is ferment 3, because most bread machines skip ferment 2 altogether. When you don't want to remove the paddle is before that knockdown. So before the first rise, you don't want to remove it before then, and you don't want to remove it after or during the final rise, because if you disturb that dough during that final rise, it's going to knock some of the air out and you're going to get a flatter loaf. In the bread machine, there is no way to tell it to wait longer for your bread to rise. Now, dough can recover from being disturbed, but it needs time. And the bread machine is programmed and doesn't know that you disturbed the dough, so it's just going to continue on. I hope these answered some of your questions. If you have other questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will consider trying to answer them in another video in the future. And I will try my best to answer them in the comments as well. I hope you are enjoying your bread machine and learning as you go, and I hope you are finding all of my teaching videos helpful to you. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already done so. Boop that like button to help me get a little more presence on YouTube, and I hope you have a blessed day.